Hey everybody, this is Crowmar with TGN. I'm here today to bring you some more Rift coverage, and this is the Rift open beta, or beta 7 as it were. And what we're looking at today is a major Earth invasion that struck Stonefield this morning. It was a lot of fun, and I've been through quite a few of these major invasions. I don't know how frequent they will be in live and release, but certainly on the betas here, they're extremely frequent, and I suspect that's the GM's doing. These invasions are dynamic. They happen just out of the blue, and they're storyline connected. They're usually, like, for example, the story of Stonefield is all about the trolls, and they're worshiping their gods, the Titans, and they're being like summoned to attack. And we won't go into too much detail, but if you go to another zone like Free March, you're getting invaded by death rifts that are led by Jacob the Tyrant, who is like some tyrant who was executed, and now he's like undead and come back for revenge and stuff. So it's pretty cool, and all these attacks are dynamic, but the GMs also can control them manually, and they can happen at any time without warning, or if the GM decide to warn you, which actually did happen in one of the open betas, but they were just trying to do a stress test. I don't think they'll actually warn you like that on live, but anyway. So this is an Earth invasion, so it's mainly trolls, like I said, also some giants and stuff, and what happens is they spawn rifts everywhere, and the rifts turn into invasions. The invasions spread out, they take over towns, they spawn, they build footholds, and then out of the footholds they spawn more and more invasions. And what happens is you just basically join a public group, which is just a button that pops up on your screen, click it, and it pairs you up with all the random people around you, and you just kind of follow around as a giant mob doing dynamic world raid content. And it's probably the best thing about this game. It's probably the only content that feels unique compared to other games that I've played. And there you go. But anyway, so we just sealed one rift, and there's still a lot more to do. There's a lot more invasions, and you know, these invasions are pretty major. When you're talking a major invasion, it does take a while, but the rewards are substantial, and there's no reason not to participate. You get massive amount of experience, you get rewards, you get a special kind of currency called Planerite, and you spend that on gear. I'm actually using a couple things about Planerite, including a sigil, and I have a one-handed weapon that I'm using for my one-handed specs. I'm doing a two-handed spec now, so I'm not using that, but I do have some gear about Planerite. But overall, I've just been basically stockpiling it. I have more than I know what to do with. So there's another invasion. When it says invasions or invader defeated or whatever, it's not talking about the whole invasion. It's just talking about one small group. So, yeah, isn't that nice looking? I love this zone. This zone is amazing. This is the second zone for Defiant. But anyway, my character here is a Riftblade, a warrior spec, and I'm like half Riftblade, half Beastmaster. Or I think I have 10 points in Beastmaster, so I can turn my beast into more of a pet. He's actually a pretty terrible tank. That's what I meant to say. I'm trying to tank for him because Riftblade is essentially a range spec. I'll get back to that in a minute, but I'm trying to have this pet tank for me, and it's just not doing it. So I'm gonna experiment with some alternate builds without the pet, and hopefully improve on it. And I do plan on doing a much more in-depth Riftblade guide. Probably be my first guide because I spent the most time with this spec and tried the most variations. But this pet variation I'm trying now just ain't working. But the way the Riftblade works is it's kind of like the Nightblade actually for the rogue, in that he combines melee and range attacks and does all spell damage, well, the Nightblade doesn't do all spell damage, but this guy, when you fight from range, he does do all spell damage. And I actually find that his range attacks and fighting range style is much, much more effective than fighting melee with this class. Matter of fact, this is just about the most effective combo of anything for grinding I found. I was doing quests 2 levels higher than me, no problem. Just killing 2, 3 mobs in a row, 4 mobs in a row, no problem. Drawing ads, killing them too. It's just super effective. The Riftblade only gives you like 1 or 2 melee abilities, and the rest are all ranged. But at first, I was trying to play melee, thinking, you know, it's a warrior, of course, right? But no, you actually need to stand back and throw spears. You also might notice watching here that the animations are screwed up. Like whenever I cast my spear, it doesn't actually show an animation. Animations were fine. Then they put through a patch that fixed animations for elves, and that's what my character is. He's a purple elf Kalari guy. When I put through that patch, although it fixed the helmet animation problem, it actually created a new problem, and now none of my spears show up. It's kind of weird. Yeah, nice advantage of being ranged is when stuff like that happens, but anyway. So yeah, ranged warrior, pretty awesome. we just got yet another invasion down. And here's another. This is like 2 or 3 invasions in one. Whenever you have a major invasion like this, it spawns all these minor ones. And the minor ones consist of basically one big guy who has about 3 to 4 times the normal health of a mob at that level, but he's surrounded by a bunch of goobers that have normal health, or sometimes they're even weaker. Sometimes they have half health or a third of the health, depending on how high level or how elite that particular mob is. And there's a foothold to my left. Can't see it just yet, but there you go. It just got destroyed while I was fighting the invaders. Some other people were attacking the footholds, so we cleared that out. But we're not done yet because there's more invaders coming. Yeah, this is a major invasion. It goes on for a while. I was in Free March, a little too high level. I was like level 20, and there was a major death invasion. And I spent about 15 to 20 minutes just sitting there killing invasions that were attacking Meridian, the Defiant capital. We just stood on top of the hill and just killed them as they came up. There's about 50, 60 players, probably more. I know there is more than there. I wasn't a full raid, which is 40 players, but there was more people on top of that that weren't in the raid, so there are a lot more. So it's pretty tough. Now, notice this town here that we just liberated, and there's quest givers. So I'm going to pick up those quests because I don't want to, worry about picking them up later. I don't even look at them, see what they are. But keep in mind this town. You'll see this town again in a minute. I'm going to mend soul and then move on to yet another rift. I'm just like, gee, which one do I go to? There's so many to choose from. Pretty much just following the mob at this point. Try to contribute as much damage as I can. The way these rifts are, I mean, you pretty much can't avoid them. Whenever they do a major invasion, short of logging off and waiting for it to pass, there's really nothing you can do to avoid it. So you're pretty much forced to do rifting at some point in the game, which is not a bad thing. You should do rifting. The game should force you to do it, because even if you're skittish about it, after you do a couple rifts, you're going to be like, okay, this is fucking awesome, this is the best thing about the game. So it's good that they force you to do rifts. Plus the rewards, again, I mentioned the rewards earlier. You can buy weapons and stuff and armor and all kinds of buffs and recipes. There's totally worth it. So here we go. Another stage. Rifts consist of 5 stages. Basically, they ramp up. Some of the stages are just one big elite. Some of them are a whole bunch of guys. And the rifts also spawn invasions. During a major invasion, they spawn the invasions much more frequently. When they first come out, they have an immunity shield. I think it's just to prevent them from getting caught up in the battle. So you got to chase them down. It's kind of awkward, but I guess it works. So I have a snare that I cast on this guy called Freeze Armor, which also enhances my fire damage, and all my damage is fire. I literally do no physical damage. Actually, no, that's not true. My pet does damage, but my actual character personal damage is all fire. So I can snare him and kill him. And that was one of the big guys, I believe, but I didn't get an invader defeated, so maybe he wasn't. Maybe he was just a pal of the stone giant here. Sometimes when you're doing these invasions, you get caught doing rifts that are like 4 levels higher than you, and you don't, it's hard to contribute depending on what class you are. I noticed that fighting in melee, which is, every other warrior spec, whenever I was doing a rift that was 3 levels plus higher than me, I couldn't contribute at all. It was just miss, miss, miss. But with this guy, the missing wasn't too bad. I suspect that the rift blade abilities work off of spell mechanics, but I'm not positive about that. Definitely, they don't give us enough time with this stuff to do the kind of comprehensive mechanics testing that I want to do in the future. So here's another guy. This is one of the big ones. I'm 90% sure. No, maybe not. It's hard to tell. There you go. Stage complete. Is that the fail message? I couldn't read it. I can't read that resolution, but if that was a failure message, we actually did fail to defeat this the major invasion. Although our squad on this part of the map was doing good. This is a big map, a big zone, and the whole zone has to contribute. So if everybody's only in one spot, the rest of the place gets overrun. This is a big mini boss here. As far as world raid bosses go, this guy is small time. He's only got about 17,000 health. In the first zone, I fought a level 10 raid boss. Yes, level 10 raid boss with 200,000 health. And my guess, he was actually named too, so he's actually part of a quest. But My suspicion was that he was spawned by a GM. But anyway, this is that town. Remember the town where I picked up the quests? Yeah, it ain't doing so good now. While we were off killing rifts, it got invaded again, and we got to rescue it again. So what I'm going to do is just pick off this invasion while I'm waiting for everybody else to get here. I'm thinking, yeah, I can take him. I'm going to put my flash freeze on. Now, the big guy, of course, the boss has about 3 times normal health, something like that. Little guys aren't too much of a threat, but it does add up. So I really want to kill this guy as soon as possible. Now, if I was any other warrior spec that I have tried, well, I should say any DPS spec. I think the tanking specs might be able to do it, but any DPS spec, like Champion or Paragon, I would just get totally destroyed here. I wouldn't be able to handle this at all. But because of the fact that I'm able to kite the big guy and prevent any real damage from coming in, it goes a lot better. But yeah, I think I might be able to take it with a Paladin and maybe with a Paladin Reaver, because the Reaver can actually heal themselves with their dot. But I'm not positive. I gotta spend more time with that spec. I've only done a little bit with that spec. So yeah, as you can see, the little guys have like a half or a third normal health, so they just go down instantly. I do have champion spec, although it's kind of wasted here with the way I have my points allocated. But I do have enough points for the punishing blow, which is a melee finisher. So I have that as a backup, or if the enemy's low and I don't want to, waste my combo points on a dot. But anyway, back on topic here. I'm trying to attack this foothold. I'm thinking, hey, they can pull the mobs away from it. I'll destroy it. Well, I noticed I'm not doing any damage, so I checked the tooltip, and oh yeah, I forgot. I knew this before. I just forgot. Footholds aren't immune to damage until you destroy the mobs that are protecting them. So you can't, basically that's done to prevent exactly the kind of exploitive behavior I was attempting there. Like, oh, I'll just sneak in and ninja the flag, No, it doesn't work that way. You have to kill everything first. And you have to kill it while more invasions are spawning, too, which is fun. Kiting, running, kiting. I just wish warriors had a proper tank pet. They just don't. Neither do clerics either, but warriors just do not have proper tank pet. Beastmaster pet is total shit, pretty much. Of course, I haven't messed around with full Beastmaster yet. I'll do that later, but some of the upper talents that I was looking at in Beastmaster look pretty nasty for damage, so I think the Beastmaster might work just fine as a DPS spec. And like the Beastmaster has a ton of bleed attacks when you get higher, lots of points, and the pet gains lots of extra damage against targets that are bleeding, so I think that will probably synergize. But as far as soloing, it's definitely not a ranger, that's for sure. We shall see. So the foothold for this town was destroyed, the one I was attacking before while I was busy. Screwing around here, killing these little guys. And just keep an eye on the ground. The ground's all screwed up from the invasion. And it's clearing up. And look, our NPCs are back. Yay! So yes, towns really do get invaded. You really do have to attack them and then win them back to get back to your quest givers. That is one of the core features of Rift, and the coolest thing about it, in my opinion. Alright, well that's all for today. Gonna have plenty of Warrior videos coming soon over the next few days, over the next week. So check those out for guides on playing the Warrior. Thanks for watching. This is Chromart with TGN.